Having Natalie du Toit and freediver Beth Neale as his subjects would be a pleasure for this 2010 Photojournalist of the Year. He's more used to subjects with 68 teeth and over 2,000 kilograms of bite pressure.
Roger, your name is synonymous with underwater cinematography and photography. Has this been something you've always wanted to do as a child?
Well, I always grew up wanting to have adventures, but I actually studied law. But I spearfished when I was at university, and that was something which I absolutely loved. And being an underwater cameraman is very close to that. You have the same experiences, and it's something that I'm very passionate about.
Why do you think your film Into the Dragon's Lair won so many awards and also scooped an Emmy nomination?
Well, I think it was just a combination of a fascinating subject, the Nile crocodile, that people hadn't really seen underwater, and just a really good team, the Foster brothers and Didier Noirot, and just kind of like a perfect storm where everything came together and we were able to make, I think, a very interesting interpretation of what we experienced in the Delta.
Roger's work won him the Best Underwater Cinematography Award at California's Blue Oceans Film Festival. For wildlife filmmaker Beth, this was an opportunity to learn from the best whilst still being a leading lady. As for Natalie, she's been a superstar for years and is now happily expanding her horizons.
A huge congratulations for the 2012 Paralympics. What was the whole experience like?
I think it was an absolutely fantastic experience. It would have been my third Paralympics, and from that perspective, each one has a special touch. Each one is absolutely marvelous, and you got to go out there and make the best of it. And I think from the perspective of the huge TVs, while we were busy competing, me watching myself up on the screens, the vibe was absolutely fantastic to hear the crowd screaming. And I think it's one of the things that you walk away saying, I have achieved. It was the end of the career that I wanted from when I was 6 years old. Going through Olympics, going through Paralympics, all of that was marvelous for me. And I think, looking back now, it was a good step to stop and to finish.
I believe you'll be focusing a lot more on sports development and motivational speaking.
At the moment, I'm concentrating more on the motivational speaking and just going out there and finding something that I want to do in life and enjoy. And, turning a new page, turning a new lifestyle. I think it was important for me to shut off this chapter of my life and move on and start something new fresh.
Roger's breakthrough came with the BBC film The Great Tide, which documents the sardine run off our coast and which won the Golden Palm Award at the Antibes Underwater Film Festival. His stills take his work into the realm of art, as these shots demonstrate, capturing human bodies in an element where all our rules of movement, speed and gravity change. Natalie was about to enter a career in modeling.
So I mean, Natalie, that's quite close to the surface to get the reflection, so should we give it a go?
Let's go.
Okay.
Good luck, Nat.
Viewers of this year's London Games universally loved the underwater perspective for what these shots reveal about the technique of champions. Beth Neale takes it all a step further and deeper.
Now, Beth, mermaids, growing up, did you know that they weren't real?
Well, when I was very young, I thought that they were very real, and that's why I wanted to be one. But obviously, when I grew up, I realized that wasn't going to happen.
You free dive, but what's the difference between free diving and scuba diving?
Well, when you scuba dive, you've got a big tank on your back. You're all heavy. You have to move slowly. You have to rely on the oxygen that you're breathing. But when you free dive, you're just relying on one single breath that you take when you go down. And you're completely free and you can move around.
How would you describe the whole rush underwater?
Well, I'm definitely happiest when I'm underwater. There's an incredible stillness and calmness that you can't get anywhere else. But the rush you describe, you get a lot when you swim with dolphins. It's an incredible feeling.
It must be beautiful, but aren't you scared?
No, not of dolphins. Sometimes of sharks, but yeah, they're not the vicious man-eaters people think they are.
You're involved in quite a few conservation projects as well.
I work on my own campaigns just to raise awareness about the crisis facing the oceans, but also I'm lucky enough to be living my dream. I work for a wildlife filmmaking company, and our speciality is underwater filmmaking. So very jealous of Roger. He's got the dream job.
His advice on lighting underwater is to angle your flash slightly away from the subject so as to minimize backscatter in the water. Underexpose the background and fill the foreground with light, as this creates mood in your images.
Wow, Nat, your lines are so elegant. Roger, how do you capture the picture so beautifully?
Well, I think the most important thing underwater is your equipment. This is it's a Nikon D800 with a 14 to 24 fisheye lens. It's really, you can't get much better equipment than this in terms of a stills camera, and of course it's got a video function as well. These are your actual strobes, so these are underwater flashes. So you've kind of got a sort of built-in lighting studio, and you can adjust these. So yeah, having a system like this really makes it a lot easier to get fantastic images underwater. But I've got a whole lot of other gadgets that I want to show you, so I'm just going to grab them quickly for you.
Cool.
Not one to hang around, Natalie seized her chance to have a go with some serious equipment. The underwater environment is very unforgiving on cheap cameras, but there are affordable in-between options.
Alright, so this is an underwater housing for the Canon G12, which is a very popular little small camera. That's a little camera about that big. And as you can see, it's got all the controls, allows you to access all the functions. This is not the kind of camera I'd use for this sort of shoot where there's fast dynamic action. This is really good for macro stuff and close-up, but it's not so good for the stuff we're doing today. So there's the actual camera there, which just basically sits inside there, and then you've got access to all the functions. And then this is the ubiquitous Gopro, and they're used across the board. We use them for blue chip productions. They can be attached to things. They are really, really fantastic piece of kit. And then for you guys, for your shoots, this is what I'm going to give you. I've put it on aperture priority so you can shoot away, and it's almost identical to this guy. Nice wide angle, and just get in there, look through there, and just shoot away.
Okay, I'm ready. How do I look?
Oh wow, you look lovely.
Shooting underwater, Roger says use a 14 to 24 millimeter wide-angle lens. It cuts down the distance between you and the subject and captures a larger field of action. Keep your ISO as low as possible to minimize noise in your image. Tell your subjects to swim close to the camera, to make eye contact, and once you find a scene that works, get the model to repeat the move until you've got the best the scene can offer.
Okay, how did those come out? That's not too bad. That's not too bad.
What do my photos look like?
If you want them, come and get them.